Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Saturday Smackdown. We do this live every single week at Saturday, though over the Christmas period we're not going to be doing it quite as frequently. If it's sort of the day after Christmas or Boxing Day or... Wait, that is Boxing Day. Whoops. The day after New Year's, or New Year's Day, something like that, then we probably won't be live. Just use your brain a little bit. But other than that, we will be live every single week, best of 7 between some of Age of Empires 3's top-level players. I like to say this at the start of every single video and Twitch stream. Just for the newcomers that are like, ooh, what is this? And that's what it is, so you will know. And here we have this beautiful AI that never ceases to amaze me. Let's start with Control-Shift-F, turn the black map off, and we can navigate the screen by just clicking on one of their units and pressing lock camera selected. Absolutely glorious. I say this a lot, but I'm truly impressed with Aze's work. And
what guy are you locked on right now?
I'm locked on
the Envoy. Roger. I'm locked on Roger.
You're locked on Roger. I actually spoke to my friend who we the other day, the guy who originally came up with the name for Roger, yes. And now this guy is universally known as Roger. That's wonderful. That's actually a thing now.
Roger's just got a fabulous hat as well. I just want to point that out.
He does. It's a great hat for scouting the map with.
And really quite a stellar beard as well.
Yeah, look at those shorts. They're quite puffy down the bottom. Keeps him warm on the Siberian plains. They're not going to be too good in the middle of some of those hotter maps, though.
Yeah. Imagine like you're on Texas or Amazon or something like that, right? It's just way too hot.
Not going to be.
Roger might get a bit sweaty.
Well, luckily for Roger, neither Texas or Amazonia actually played that frequently, so it should be okay for the most part. But we do have. I was talking about the UI. I just want to finish doing that. And lots of people have said, actually, this UI takes up so much space. It's actually quite big and covers a lot of the game. I actually disagree. I really don't think it takes up that much more space than the old one did, really. I really think about the same amount of the screen is covered. So there's that. I mean, what do you guys actually think? I mean, if you do actually think it's bigger, then go ahead and tell me, but I don't see how. Maybe I ought to compare the two side by side. But anyway, we do have in the north of the map in the color red. Playing as the Chinese, Yurashic. I hope. Yes, it is Yurashic. I knew that before he clicked in. Starting with, interestingly, just the one village there has spent some of his wood on a trading post. I wonder why that is. Let's take a look at his treasures. We do see... Oh, by the looks of it, Zuter has infiltrated your ranks with spies and knows all that you do. Good lord. I didn't notice that you were doing that, Zuter. Where do you find the gold in the Imperial Age from? Jeez.
Yes, I'm the true overlord.
But I also have spies that have been sent out to watch enemy positions. But the more important thing is the trading post. He did find an 85 wood treasure. What do you think of that?
I wonder if he won't do Aze's build. I've seen Aze do this build where he builds the trading post in the single village and then sends 300 wood and then uses it for like 2 more villages and then sends northern refugees off of the extra XP from the trading post. No, it looks like he's just going with the single.
It did just arrive.
Yep. Yeah. Interesting. Well, we'll see how it ends up working out.
2 villager shipment is not as good as a 3 villager shipment. Certainly, it's actually 33% worse, obviously, and it's going to hurt him in the long run. But he does have a trading post, which is definitely worth pointing out. China is one of those Fortress Age-orientated civs, and has that Fortress Age agenda, which is definitely going to be helped out by the extra XP. Gets lots of extra shipments down, aid that shipment progression. It's going to work out, hopefully, for him. I see the appeal of it, at least. We'll see how that all pans out for him. But let's introduce his opponent we do have in the south of the map, in the colour teal, or cyan. Or light blue, I always get it wrong and then remember to correct myself. But I learnt it as cyan from Age of Mythology, because it was... No, as teal, sorry, from Age of Mythology, because it actually was teal, and I've been calling that ever since, and it is a lot quicker to say. But here he is, the Dutch player Mitoe. Have not seen Mitoe in a while, and as you said at the start of this stream, Mitoe, one of the fan favourites, definitely someone I've been looking forward to see, and I even thought to myself, where has he been? I do miss the Azamk versus Mitoe matchups. What are we on now? Like the rematch or something like that between Aze and Mitoe?
I think we've done 6. I want to say it's like 6 or 7. Yeah. No, it must be 6 or 7. I'm pretty sure the last time we did it, Aze told me that this was like the deciding match, or the deciding like set of best of 7s of best of 7s.
What?
So I think like then was the 7th time we had done it, and they had each won 3 of the best of 7s.
Well, that's one way to play. That is a true best of 7, right?
That's like the ultimate bravery mode.
That's like best of 7 squared right there.
Yeah, that's super hardcore.
Let me live, he says. Oh dear, where is he going? He's getting closed in on. He was sneaking up for a 50 wood treasure, but managed to pick it up. I didn't think there was going to be any contention. There wasn't. But now he's, getting closed in on cycle around the edge of the map. Is probably going to be okay. He's quite near his town center, but worth pointing out that Disciple does move a little bit quicker, and he is quite low health. I didn't just see that. Actually, Mitoe did find himself at 110 wood treasures, so that does explain why he's lost so much health. But as I mentioned, quite close to the town center, and is able to get away there. That tower, the red player really not going to want him to get too close to. Looks like he's going to head off and head elsewhere into the wilderness, perhaps find some more treasures if there are any to be found. But by the looks of it, the Dutch player is now up to the second age. We'll turn on text completed, so we can verify that absolutely. Dutch age up pretty quick, as we point out a lot of the time, and that is because, of course, their villages do not cost food. They just cost gold. So they end up spending a lot less food compared to other civilizations, and that's why Ottoman and Dutch seem to age up a little bit quicker there. And here, first bank has been constructed. Did that during transition, and or perhaps out of the 400 wood, either way. And there's a second bank from his first shipment there. So, Mitoe off to one hell of a start, and certainly going to be pretty happy about that wood treasure, as it meant, by the looks of it, is going to sneak in a trading post rather than using it for a bank.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on this. This is such like a greedy economic build out of Mitoe. We can see so far 0 military structures, right? Normally out of that 400 wood, if you're going to, go like by the book Dutch, plain Jane, normal Dutch, you would have the single bank in transition, and then the 400 wood you would use to construct 2 houses and a stable, and you would make a couple of SARs and start raiding. But we can see out of that 400 wood, he's elected instead to build a market, start getting some market upgrades. If we switch over to the tech's research, he's already got himself steel traps, and he's dropped down a trading post off of that as well. So,
is that
nice
monk?
Stuff.
There it goes. Kills the monk. No, it wasn't. That was that. It was
the disciple.
The disciple.
Got the disciple.
I thought for a moment there, I thought, he actually did kill the monk key, and then I was going to correct myself, but it was no monkey died on this day there. There was standing right next to a 90 wood treasure. He was looking forward to that, but Red shows up out of nowhere, and is going to claim both the hero and the monkey and take that 90 wood for himself. No military buildings, but is that as you no military buildings as you mentioned? Is that going to be? Is he going to be okay with that? I mean, there's no pressure. Clearly, China has sent 700 coin and 700 wood. He's going to be doing that fast fortress, going to be getting up very quickly to the next age, so he can spam all those age 3 military shipments, and he's got this trading post for the extra shipments. It's going to look really nice. Obviously no pressure, but equally no hussars, and that's really what he'd like to be using to raid his opponent. So that's the thing that's important there, right?
Yeah, and I mean, if you take a look at Roger here, he's basically got a full scout on the red base, which, he can see villagers gathering coin. There's nothing like sneaky going to happen, right? This is a map and a matchup where almost 100% of the time China's going to be FFing. I mean, China FFs in a majority of matchup combinations anyways, and just having the extra scout for the Dutch, being able to confirm it by looking at the coin mine, means that there's really no threat, and it looks like he's going to 100% get away with this. He's got 4 banks, really good upgrades on his villagers, steel traps, placer mines, and that TP, and I think he's just going to do this full eco semi-FF, and then just try and match the Chinese player spam in the third age.
But with units he's trained fairly, I like to say, it's comparing to where China
comparing
gets
to all
from.
the free units the China gets, as we see some of those free units popping up.
Starting off with the 3 pikemen and the 3 chokanu from the old summer palace.
Yep.
Yeah, and by the looks of it, Roger not having a good time there.
Roger run, Roger.
Rip Roger from Rip Roger 2015 to 2015. Very sad.
So if a new Roger gets trained out of the town center, then is his name also Roger? Like, because he's technically the first one. Maybe it's like Roger
the second.
Roger the second.
Yeah. Forget the second one. I think it's Joseph is the second one's name. I'll have to consult my friend Ed and find out what the 5 names actually were. But he had them locked down, and I used to be able to remember the first few. It's certainly the first name is Roger. That's absolutely true. But here's the barracks. 2 barracks. We do have the Papa Norkamama Bobber coming in with his ×4 damage, standing right there, and that ×4 damage is about to be upgraded with the pikemen and the chokanus. Looks like though he's aware that actually the barracks are about to be completed, and that's why he ran away there. Still half health on that, though, and that could be quite relevant in now that he is up to the fortress age. Where he's going to have lots of units coming down. If Mitoe doesn't repair that, certainly it's weak, and certainly it's going to cost wood to repair that. So it could be relevant. We'll see what happens. What's going on at the moment, though? 700 and 600 wood, 4 banks, 6 banks, 5 banks. not quite 6. 5, I forget that this is ESOC patch, and a trading post.
This is like the ultimate greed mode out of Dutch. I mean, 5 banks, fairly good market upgrades. We can see he's just shipped 1,000 wood. That's going to help with his housing situation. We can see he's at 36.
Wow. Such efficient crates. I mean, shipment.
He's going to have a ton of units here. I mean, he's got the dual rack set up. He's got the stable. He has used these first 9 minutes of the game to just make an insane economy. We can even see, and why not, right? Another stable. Like, he's just shipped that 1,000 wood. Yeah. He's going to have resources like crazy to spend. Yeah. And as long as he can control his next hunt, then he should be able to have no problem spamming on all this. But we can see during all this, I mean, we do have to remember banks do cost 350 food to construct. All of the units he's going to be making from this point forward do cost quite a bit of food. So he does need to be able to at least secure another hunt, which, I mean, it looks like this one's going to be, these 2 here are going to be the next 2 that he's going to have to secure. But as long as he can continue to secure those, he's going to have a wealth of
oh dear, this concerns me a little bit. Look at the amount of skirmishes there relative to his anti-cavalry, and there's a lot of Chinese cavalry of different sorts, disciplined iron flails, disciplined meteor hammers, all mixed in there, and that second stable has only just gone up. He's not going to be seeing too much anti-cavalry for the time being. 8 skirmishes as well. That's so much anti-infantry. These skirmishes are very, very vulnerable right now. If perhaps the Chinese player pushed out there, he might have been able to take a few kills. Certainly has Arquebusier as well. That punish these 5 Reuters. Only 2 Reuters there. Did he perhaps miss a batch? No, there's 5 more on the way. So it looks like he does have enough anti-cavalry now, but there looked like a very, very small window there where he was very, very exposed out in the open.
There is still a window. Look at the military unit counts. 11 meteor hammers and 6 iron flails
you're right.
Versus only 12 Reuters. And Reuters are kind of a poverty anti-cavalry unit to begin with. They're just so good because they're very spammable. And he does have the ability to spam quite a few of them, but I think this is the time to go. Intervention is just here. Good micro there by Mito's sniping a couple of those as they come out, but there still is kind of a lack of anti-cavalry. If you take a look at the shipment order, Mito shipped 8 skirms, and so there's the 9 Reuters.
9 Reuters now. Yeah, I was expecting...
Maybe now the window's starting to close a little bit.
Yeah, he's got a few more anti-cap there. But certainly, the 8 skirm shipment was a bit concerning, especially considering the number of skirms he already had. Walking in a bit close there, does kill the villager, but, got a bit close. It means he's got a little bit less room to run away here. And that does give these iron flails and these meteor hammers a lot more time to kill. And, on some of those cavalry, special, unique Chinese cavalry, extra range, they're going to get lots of damage in. Musketeers getting up close and personal. Let's remember that these are redcoats. Absolutely destroying them. They're really not doing any damage. They're just walking away, trying to stay out of range. And that looks absolutely disgusting for Mito.
Yeah, the skirms just got absolutely obliterated there.
Dumpstered.
I mean... There's a decent number of Reuters coming in here to catch back up, but meteor hammers are so good in this situation because of their extra range. I mean, even though the skirmishers are trying to kite away, they're able to keep up and not really get blocked by the pathing of the Reuters. And as a result, look at that, only 3 skirmishers for me.
Ouch.
And Mito realizes that was a brutally inefficient fight for him. And he's going to have a difficulty holding this next push because we have to remember all those military units that China just killed gave him a wealth of XP, and that's going to be even more shipments going to be coming that he's going to have to be able to deal with. And now remember what we said, his resources are very exposed because he used so many of the safe early game resources to throttle his economy, to get his economy going so strong. And now he's going to maybe have some difficulty defending these external resources, especially if the meteor hammers get out and start to raid.
And especially this Rax here is also still a bit damaged. He's going to have to find resources from somewhere to repair that, or risk it being still damaged. But yep, the resource is going to have to find them from somewhere. They are exposed, as you pointed out, and if he loses that, then this big meaningful economy he's built is going to mean less, that's for certain. Yeah. Certainly there's a lot of coin incoming from these 6 banks. I was expecting big things out of that economy. Like, the shipments he opened with were so disgusting. 600, 700 wood plus, and 1,000 wood, all of these things. I wonder how different the game would be if he had managed to keep his skirms. But surprisingly, has managed to bounce back quite a bit.
Iron Troopers are here. This could be really good. Iron Troopers are so good against skirmishers.
Perhaps not them.
Well, we'll have to see. The thing is, Dutch's eco is still so huge, right? I mean, it is immense how good Dutch's economy is.
That economic unit of population. Turn on interjections calculator. We can actually demonstrate what that does right now. That takes into account that banks are actually a thing, and they are actually... So, yeah, if you turn it off, it just counts villages, but with it on, it counts the banks are about 4 villas or whatever they are each. But Iron Troopers...
They're disgusting.
They're advancing quickly on his skirmish, which has only just seemed to have recovered.
Yeah. And look at that, a full volley from all the remaining skirms only takes like half of the HP in one of the Iron Troopers. They're trading so efficiently right now. And look at this big reinforcing batch.
60% range resist.
Yeah, they're just ridiculous. Like, they are iron.
They are iron, yeah. I was going to say they're giant sponges, but yours is better. Cavalry coming in on... But he does have the trees to his advantage, but the extra range there.
Yeah, the meteor hammers really don't...
They don't care about trees.
they just use their little whips and just kind of ignore it. And all this time, you know, the arquebusiers, the redcoats, the iron troopers that remain are still in the back there. Minutemen being called, and this is going to be kind of like the do or die. Look at even just the Papa North
just to
standing there in the middle.
Like, I don't know where they came from, but I do mention China has a large anal cavity, certainly for their shipments. I'm not saying anything, but I don't know where those disciples came from. Yeah, absolutely the right call. This is, you know, mentioned the do or die push. Certainly a big one of the fight, the influential fight, and the extra units there, even if they're not that efficient, would be certainly useful. Doesn't look like it's paid off.
Look at how many Iron Troopers are still alive. There's still 5. Like, I swear this fight has been going on for over a minute, and there's still so many Iron Troopers left. Oh man, they're so good in this situation. The Iron Troopers are so good against Skirm Dragoon.
Yeah, they're effectively they're a skirmish unit themselves, according to the stats that they have there. So obviously going to be good against dragoons, and that range resist makes them very, very difficult for the actual in the skirmisher sort of mirror matchup. That's right. But Mitoe, surprisingly, is in a good spot right now, I think. He's still gathering from these resources that, these natural ones, which you mentioned were exposed. They were exposed. Perhaps China, if he had tried to push the resource spots rather than in the base, perhaps things could have been different. Certainly, if Dutch hadn't been able to gather and get away with this greedy sort of economic build he went for, certainly that could have been a thing that was relevant. But in this right now, look at that, 20 villages up effectively, 17 to be precise in terms of economic, and the upgrades that Dutch is representing are a little bit better as well.
Yeah, I mean, Dutch is still in a fine spot, and like you mentioned, absolutely China should have been pressuring these side locations where the resources are being gathered from. Like, if he would have pushed over here instead, I mean, what did he really gain from just pushing right up the gut there, right? He basically just ran into a wall of Minutemen and reinforcements, which isn't necessarily what he wanted.
Mind you, Manchu have arrived. That big power spike, they cost 1,000 gold for this shipment of Manchu. Very, very strong unit with 440 hit points. Going to be doing some work there. Big batch of cav. I mean, he does have Manchu, which do count a cav, but cav, that's a big batch of cav, and they're veteran as well.
I still want to point out there are still 6 of the 9 Iron Troopers just continuing to do work during all of this, and it was smart by Mitoe to make this big reinforcement.
Here we go.
Yeah, here they come, and I think this is going to put a big damper on these.
The Iron Troopers finally met their match, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, worth pointing out that those Manchu have 40% melee resist, which is quite a lot, but actually
the
not
skirms are just
that
gonna
useful.
push them away.
Yeah, that looks well, rip Chinese people.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the point where the Dutch eco now just shines through, right? I mean, not only he was able to take loads and loads of kind of poor trades, even against those Iron Troopers, where he was just
1,000 coin.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, he was able to take lots of bad fights there just because his economy was so good. Had his economy not been as good, had he done something a little more traditional and he'd ran into that many bad fights, he would probably have lost at this point. But His economy has been so strong for so long that I think he's going to be fine. There is a second town center for
I just noticed that too.
So I mean, not all is lost, but unfortunately for Yurashic, he is really starting to run out of natural resources, and starting to like defend locations like this are going to be very, very difficult for him when he's got this kind of discrepancy in military unit population.
Especially with an enemy town center standing on top of it. Very, very nice placement there. It's a very safe coin mine near a hunt as well, and that does secure perhaps some of the resources that Mitoe wanted to be getting, as you alluded to there. Here, though, more cavalry, no dragoons, but certainly the cavalry should be able to do a good enough job of blitzing these down. Though now the Changdeos have been mixed in, probably going to be a little bit sad. Does have the skirmishers to counter them, though. And this is just
not going to be quite enough. Yeah, it's not going to be quite enough. I mean, there's just too many Hussar at this point. Mitoe doesn't have Cav Combat working for him just yet, but I mean, he's operating on the more stuff principle at this point. He's just got plenty of He's just got plenty of units, right? He's just going to blow through this army. And I mean, Yurashic realizes it. Here comes the sign.
Absolutely. That was an interesting first game. I was not actually expecting Mitoe to win after having taken such a poor fight. And it obviously could have been a different game had he not lost so many. By poor fight, I actually was just trying to refer to the number of skirms that he lost in the early portion there.
I mean, it was by all means a poor fight. Take a look at the military unit graph. Like, it was a brutal fight. I mean, things were slightly
64 to 19.
Yeah, I mean, he just got obliterated in that first fight.
Yeah. So after that, I was not anticipating Mitoe doing particularly well. Certainly could have been a different game if he'd not lost that at all. Certainly could also have been a different game if the Chinese player had perhaps gone for the resources, as we pointed out. Though he may not have had line of sight to it, may not have realized where Mitoe was gathering resources. Perhaps he had a perfectly logical decision to be pushing in the base. I'm not sure what his thinking was. But Mitoe is allowed to gather resources and bounces back in a big way.
Yeah, so one easy thing to do here for comparison-wise, take a look at, so the big fight happens at like 11 minutes and 30 seconds, right? That's when like this big discrepancy of military units happens.
Yep.
But if we go to 12 minutes and 22 seconds, that's when like the fight is about ended. Players are starting to reinforce, and we're starting to have continued battles between 12 and a half minutes and 15-ish minutes, where the players are bouncing back and forth, trying to reinforce, Mitoe's trying to catch up a little bit. And look at the all resources gathered during that same time, 12 and a half minutes to 15 minutes. And look what continues to happen. Mitoe doesn't flatline at all, right? The economic graph during that period of time stays flat, stays consistent, just continues to ramp up and continues to grow in discrepancy. So despite the fact that Yurashic was winning the fights, the economic difference was continuing to grow during that, and that, as a result of that, Mitoe was able to reinforce his units. It is a pretty big map, had lots of production out early, had that 1,000 wood working for him early, and as a result was able to make enough stuff that he just continued to live. And then, I mean, when you get to the end of the game and you're at 39,000 resources and your opponent's at 25, like, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out that one guy has tons more resources than the other. He's probably going to.
That gap definitely very, very large. Getting bigger all through the game, sorry. Yep. That does conclude the first match, though. And Mitoe 1-0 down. Yurashic
1-0 up.
You're 1-0 up. Absolutely. Alright. Expecting good things from Mitoe, though. Says he's rusty, but Mitoe's still a phenomenal player. We'll see what happens. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to game number 2 in this best of 7 series between Yurashic and Mitoe. Match number 2 seems to be Ottoman versus Iroquois. One of those taboo matchups from Robot Patch. Interesting.
Oh, how the times have changed.
Yeah, now it's completely okay, apparently. On East Patch, of course, these two civilizations are a bit different, absolutely. We'll start with Iroquois spawning in the right-hand side of the map here. We do have Mitoe spawning with all food. And no wood. None at all. And that's relevant, because they used to spawn with 2 wood. And actually 2 less food, I believe. They now actually get, I believe, 1 extra food. I think they get 1 extra food.
I think it's 1 extra food, yeah.
Yeah, rather than rather than 2 wood crates. Obviously, they would prefer 2 wood crates, absolutely. The food does allow them to age up a bit quicker if they want to do that, and it does make that perhaps aggressive option more interesting, maybe we could say. But the relevant thing here is 200 wood does not mean they can build a trading post. I hope that was grammatically correct. They cannot build a trading post because they don't have enough wood to do that, and they absolutely will be building their house out of the Traveler there, which Mitoe is using to scout. If we turn Control-Shift F on, we can lock our camera on his punny, terrible line of sight, but good line of sight nonetheless. Perhaps Mitoe will impress Zuter today and bring that guy back and build the house in his base rather than some random place. Does come across a settler stuck in a tree. Does make me wonder how he got up there in the first place, considering these colonies have just arrived in this new world.
And there's freaking polar bears that have chased him up there as well.
Yeah, that's they're normally out in the ice, right, searching for seals, but that guy.
Well, that guy must be so hungry as well. There's just who knows how long, an indeterminate amount of time he's been sitting up in that tree with 3 sleeping polar bears underneath.
But how did he get there? These colonies.
And also, why does the polar bear not just eat that elk that's standing there? Right?
The better question is, why is the elk still standing there?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm no elk, but if there was 3 polar bears, hungry polar bears, we're assuming, because they're chasing the settler up a tree, I think I would probably hightail it out of there. I'd just get out of town, but nope, that elk doesn't care. He's just sniffing the polar bears, hey bud, what's up?
How did he get up the tree as well? I don't know how you'd climb that. Anyway, our commentary insightful and interesting as always. We do though have on the left hand side of the map.
So happy.
He built the house in his base.
He brought it back and built it in his base.
Happy Zuter. Let's turn the Control-Shift F on again. You can see that, actually we can't really see what he managed to scout. But he found the settler in a tree, and that could have been a good treasure that you wanted to go for. It could have been a different treasure. It's useful to scout. That's what we're talking about here. Though we do see Iroquois is still able to convert disgusting treasure guardians, such as outlaw riflemen's, and he found a Cherokee rifleman by the looks of it for free. I think treasure guardians have they do. They have a negative times 0.1 multiplier versus trading posts, so actually they don't really do very much damage at all. But looks like 160 XP Mitoe is able to pick up with old Billy Talent there, but sadly, when your opponent is able to convert units that do 40 range attack at 18 range, your Explorer's not going to last very long, as he does a drive-by pickup on a big XP treasure. And this is Ottoman we're talking about. Doesn't have really any other way to scout the map. No other extra units there. Quite slow at scouting, especially since he does build that trading post. And this could be quite relevant for him. Now that we have this updated UI, we can see that actually he's scouted very little of the map. Fortunately, though, does have quite a lot of hunt in his base, so it probably won't be a problem for a while. Either way, though, let's take a look at these treasure guardians. Where are they going? Looks like he's going to go grab that. Well, there's a big treasure down here. 135 XP. Could grab that settler treasure as well. I quite like this. I mean, the 2 options was grab the trading post and do a indeterminate tiny bit of damage to it that probably won't be very meaningful, or go and get these big treasures here that now that your opponent certainly cannot get, and it's very safe to get these because you have killed his explorer, and you can convert a bear. That's also worth pointing out.
Look at this guardian army that he's amassed. Right, a polar bear with 277 HP and 10 hand attack. That rifleman with 180 HP and 40 attack, and then the other Cherokee rifleman with 13 range attack and 250 HP. I mean, that's a small army in itself, right? Yeah. It's very strong.
Considering when musketeers have 150 hit points each and they cost effectively 100 resources, he's got and tanking with the polar bear, that's actually definitely worth doing. Certainly has a lot of HP,
really
and
good.
if you remember to do, is certainly going to keep your actual better units alive. So much HP to sponge with, considering the hand attack on that thing is not particularly good. Picks himself up 150 food. Iroquois War Chief is insane. In fact, just War Chiefs generally are monstrous. Jeez.
It's going to be really good for him. But it is interesting to note that Mitoe is playing a bit of a slower game. He is aging up with the Wise Woman. And I want to point out that with both of those big XP treasures he's gotten, take a look at his shipments. He has got 2 shipments fully ready to go when he hits up to the next stage. So it's going to be here momentarily. And by the looks of it, it's just going to be some sort of semi-FF. We can see 3 villagers gathering coin. I don't expect that travois to be going too far forward. And well, it looks like it's going to be somewhere in the middle of the map, and then it looks like we're just going to see some sort of FF out of him. Has sent both of his cards. Hasn't increased his population count whatsoever as a result of that. So I think it's fairly safe to assume that at this point he's probably sending 600 coin and just going to be FFing behind this. Maybe 5 vills. I guess it did go up by 5, so it's probably 5 vills and 600 coin.
Yep, everything you'd want from a semi-FF, the extra resources, and of course the coin to get up to the next age. Absolutely. I'm just thinking, what is the difference between their age up times? Because that's just not that much. I was just thinking, well, Ottoman hadn't actually received his first shipment yet. But he has now 700 coin. He's going to be picking that up. 700 he's actually ahead. I guess that's the facet of having the trading post. I, for some reason, thought that he was behind in his shipment progression. Never mind. What is Ottoman doing, though? Interestingly enough, has gone for the Abbas gun, which is nerfed on this patch. It shoots less quickly. The stats are the same, just shoots less quickly, and therefore its DPS is reduced. Not going to be building that trading post. It is denied. Corral, a bit on the front here. Hopefully that goes up in time. I think he should be okay.
Should be okay. But I was completely wrong. Like, Mitoe's just straight up playing like long age 2 play. I mean,
and that's 4 Kanya Horsemen. That's where where that population came from.
Yeah. I was under the assumption that he was going to do some sort of FF, but instead it looks like he was just gathering that coin for the first wood gathering upgrade. The first wood gathering upgrade for the Eero civilization does cost 150 coin, and so it looks like that's where that went. And now with both the Corral and the War Hut up, it looks like he's just going to play map control, try and get control of the TP line, and shut down the Ottoman player with some raiding action.
Yeah, looks to be the case. 4-Axe Riders, a pretty good shipment, doing work. Does lose a little bit of HP on them. I didn't notice he managed to get any villages. I don't think he did. Did he?
Oh.
Did you?
No, I don't think he did. Herding has been pretty good so far from Yurashic, so
yeah,
wasn't able to do any real damage. But 600 coin coming, and still, I mean, Jan Abus, even though the Abus guns, as you mentioned, have been nerfed slightly, it's still one hell of a composition, and it can be very difficult to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the same time, he's not going to be happy about this, right? He's going to be losing his trading post. He is balled up in the middle of his base. I'm a bit surprised that he's not trying to contest this, especially because Mitoe went with a fairly economic opening, 600 wood being, a fairly economic start at least. Could have maybe put a little bit of pressure down here, but now he's going to lose all of the TP line. Mitoe has picked up every single one of the trading posts. And now Blue finds himself in a bit of an awkward position where he doesn't have that many military units. Oh, here comes 5 Huss, interestingly enough. He has mixed in the stable as well. So he's going for the full 3-unit composition. And this feels like kind of do or die time. I mean, he has to kind of win a fight fairly soon. And this may be the time that he can win a fight. Because if we take a look at the military units, there's really no anti-cavalry, just the 2 Tomahawks from Mitoe right now. So those 5 Hussar could pay dividends if he pushes right now. Maybe he's going to wait for like another couple Hussar or maybe a 3 Hussar shipment or something like that and then go. But the clock is definitely ticking because Stagecoach has been researched.
Coming in strong. 3 trading posts and quite the economy. I mean, I guess so. It is Iroquois. In fact, any economy is threatening, I guess, if you're Ottoman, because you always have less villages. But yes, could be the time to go. There it looks like he's got his next batch of units. And 3 Hussars as well. This is absolutely the time to go. Blue is clearly ready to go, gearing up for that. And it looks like we're going to have a big brawl. Certainly needs to do that soon, otherwise his opponent is going to stack up quite a lot of advantage from having those trading posts, as you mentioned. The question is, can he do it? Certainly not particularly many anti-cavalry there. These Aena's pretty vulnerable. The cav going to come in pretty strong. I know there's a couple Tomahawks there. I didn't notice them at all. I totally didn't see them. I thought they were
they blend in so good with the Aena, but still, there's not a ton of them, and the Abus are doing a decent job of focusing them down. The Kanya kind of caught in a bad position here as well, and once these Huss clean up, all of the threats, it's going to be basically Aena versus Hussar, and I mean,
we know who wins that fight.
We know who wins that fight, and it's not even close. It's going to be a kind of a slaughter here. The good thing is Mitoe is focusing down the rest of these Abus guns and Janissaries. Instead of trying to run, he realizes that at this point, this fight is lost. It's a lost cause. He's going to try and kill as many of the infantry and units as possible, and does get out of there killing most of them. And I mean, the Abus guns are really the expensive, hard to replace unit for the auto player, especially with this lack of economy that he has right now. But still, like, he has to win very, very soon, or the economy is going to continue to, the discrepancy is going to grow larger.
Yeah. Abasgun's so coin heavy, very, very difficult to replace. So absolutely the right thing to do in his dying moments there, but the Ottoman player looks like he got the better of him. I think this trade route isn't, is now up for grabs. Certainly Ottoman player isn't going to be able to replace his units quite as quickly as Mitoe is. It does have 4 Kenya horsemen coming in to do a little bit of raiding here, but fortunately there are 5 Janissaries actually very nearby, only just being created. So lucky for Mitoe, for Yurashic that he is able to repel that. But yeah, now I'm going to focus down the military buildings as opposed to the trading route, which is providing, that economic advantage. I do think that's the right decision, though. Of course, it means that wood is a very difficult resource to come by. He's going to have to switch his trading posts to wood. If he's clever, he can do that right now. And then yeah, we got the replacement war hut. He's very aware that that's going to be threatened. That's not bad. Like Tomahawk's certainly good against the cavalry, but he has more units. The more unit principle is coming.
Yes. Yeah, and even maybe more importantly, is Mitoe is desperately starting to run out of resources here. So if this next fight goes poorly and he loses this position up front, take a look at where his next hunts are. They're very, very extended down here to the south side of the map. Looks like he's going to get an okay trade. He still does have a military shipment left available to him. I don't believe he's sent big button tomahawks yet either, so he can still...
Oh, that's not good. 4 villages coming into the fight. Oh... Very sad.
It's maybe okay. I mean, he needs something to buy time for him at this point.
Yeah, but I don't think a 4 shipment was necessarily what he wanted to buy time with. I'm not arguing with the buy time principle here, though. I mean,
yeah.
Ouchie. It does clean this up, though.
This is a close fight, but I think he's still going to be okay because behind all this, Mitoe has switched some villagers down here to the south. I mean, you can tell these villagers have been idle for forever. He's definitely just trying to maximize the use of his army up here. We'll see those villagers get back to work here, I'm sure, in a minute, but it's still a very tenuous situation here up front. The war hut has taken quite a bit of damage, and this position is very close to being broken by Yurashic. And if one more big reinforcing batch of units comes out, I mean, we can see 5 Janissaries, 3 Avis guns, maybe a couple more Hussars get into the mix here. It could still be tricky. I mean, Mitoe's economy has been idle here for quite some time, and he's struggling to reinforce. Maybe his saving grace will be these couple trading posts that he still does have.
And nicely, Yurashic plopping down 2 cavalry over here on top of these. He could, get all the villagers to gang up on the Hussars, but if he's smart, obviously the Hussars will run away and then come back in to harass. But he's going to lose, quite a number of villagers that he didn't really want to, forcing Mitoe to move around. Nicely, though, is going to get these 2 Hussars, nicely pinched him up between this, up against this native village, I suppose. But yes, Ottoman units there's a small mass here, does take out one of the trading posts, and is going to continue to do that. But Ottoman, the crates are running up dry. 700 food has just arrived. That is a below average shipment in terms of the amount of resources villager seconds that it gives you, and just less XP over the course of the game. Does not have that trading post he opened with. Shipments are getting more and more expensive. Unit replacement certainly going to dry up, and I think if he doesn't manage to inflict some sort of meaningful economic damage soon, then this game could be lost to him.
Yeah, and it has to happen very soon. And he did kill one more trading post. He is kind of trapping some of the Kanya over here, which is nice. But he needs to continue to clear this out and continue to be able to apply pressure to the resource locations of Mitoe, because Mitoe is continuing to gather more and more resources, and that is going to be quite problematic.
Avis guns. I was trying to get them away on the other side of the Janissaries, but the cavalry just walked around and grabbed them there. Quite hard to protect them here, I suppose.
A couple more flanking in from the side, though. I mean, he's got good reinforcements coming in, and any way you slice it, Jan Avis, like we mentioned earlier, is still very, very strong. And he's still got a decent mass here. This war hut is going to go down. He is not out of it just yet. I mean, he is still I would argue in a fairly good position. He can continue to apply pressure, and he does have that stable up. We have to remember. So if even 1 or 2 Hussar can get out and continue to apply pressure to these spots, I mean, the resources are drying up for Mitoe on his half of the map, and now he's going to have to do awkward things like rebuild his stable and rebuild his war hut, and he's just going to resign. He's out of resources. He doesn't think he can keep up.
Yeah, look at his resource pile. It's getting a bit low. He's stacked up. Oh no, it's not. There's 500 food there. Huh.
Mm.
Well,
he also didn't have this hunt in the north side of the map.
Yeah, that would have been useful.
Discovered as well. Look at that. Also, it's all little muskox.
And they are. Oh, look at them sipping from the great old lakes there.
Well, except the one is like two of them are like head first in there.
Definitely a good old drink.
They're drowning.
Yeah, there's that. Oh, well, could he have continued that, do you think? Certainly, going to lose this stable here. There is quite the army, and has managed to find quite a number of Abyss guns, and with that number of Janissaries there, they should be able to be protected. Once this stable goes down, it's just these Canyon Horsemen that he has left on the board, really, to deal with those Abyss guns. He's going to find it difficult to find... Well, he has 200 wood. I suppose he could build a stable out of that, since this one's going to go down, but still needs that wood really to be building units with. They require units do cost wood, so that's a problem there. I'm not sure if it's just that number of Canyons could deal with these, and there are reinforcing blue units as well. Perhaps that was the correct time to call game. That's a lot of Ottoman units, and you can't ignore that.
Yeah, it would be very difficult here. I mean, I don't know that it's explicitly over, but I think Ottoman's in a good position here. He's got a very hard-to-kill army for the Euro player at this point. It would really come down to whether or not... Well, I guess I was going to say this hunt in the south, I guess, is even starting to dry up. He just doesn't have a lot of hunt left over, and so he's going to have to try and secure this hunt in the middle of the map, and I guess he just feels like he can't do that at this point.
Yeah.
But like you mentioned, with these 5 Kanya, I mean, the Ottoman villagers are kind of exposed here, too. Could have started to raid around a little bit, maybe buy a little bit more time, but... I don't know. It's definitely, I think, in Otto's favor at this point, but I don't know if it was quite over for the Euro player.
Perhaps, but we'll never know now. Very sad.
Either way, though, I mean, everyone has had that moment where you're playing against Otto. You're like, okay, if I just let him win with Otto, now he can't play it for the rest of the series, and now I just don't have to worry about it anymore. Maybe that's his strategy too. Like, just get the Otto game out of the way, let him win with it, be like, all right, now I don't have to deal with your Ottoman play anymore. Now we can go back to playing European and T80 civs where I feel more at home.
I love the European civs.
I guess technically Ottoman is a European civ, right? I mean, we always lump them into this strange group of OP civs, but technically, I mean, they've been in the game since 2005.
Yeah, they're one of the Eurocivs, as far as Age of Empires 3 is concerned. The vanilla civilizations, which all of them except Ottoman, I suppose, are European. Anyway, that is the end of this game. And the score is now 2-0 in Yurashic's favor. Yurashic definitely 1-1.
Yep.
Oh, he lost the first, of course.
Yep.
Why did I... Okay. Well, see you in a bit. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to game number 3 in this best of 7 series between Yurashic and Mitoe. This time, China. China versus... I did not notice.
China versus Euro. Mito's sticking it out with Euro.
Oh, I see. Of course, he's allowed to do that. These are not tournament rules, it's Smackdown rules. You can play the civilization until you win with it. Once you win with it, it's disabled. Then, spawning in, though, on one of Gaia's beautifully and aesthetically pleasing maps. This one, named Manchuria.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I guess this is... Right, I'm right on cue for where I talk about how impressive Age of Empires graphics are for being a game released in 2005. Blah, blah, blah. Textures, 3D models, bloom effects.
You should just have should just have a YouTube clip where you say it, and then you just pull it up onto your screen, and you drag it over, and then you press play. We just don't say it. We just sit here quiet, and then we play it, and then all right, got that out of the way, and we just drag it back off to the side.
But it has to be said, especially on this map, because the water, where the water and the land meets, and the shadows, and the little scenery Gaia managed to program in, and the whales off the coast, and all of these things, and the shadows. This map in particular really strikes me. This one and Cascade Range, that one I really, really like as well, where the snow and the mountains meet, and the little lakes he's put on there. I really, really think Gaia did a great job of using the assets in AoE 3. What are these llamas doing? They're trying to walk into the down here. What is going on?
I can't see them. I've got the.
Well, you better be turning that off.
They're trying to say hello to the whale.
Yeah, they are clearly.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I'm going to put Control Shift F on so we can do that. Who are you following around?
Well, I was following the disciple.
Oh.
But his life is going to be short-lived.
Yeah, it is. Oh, are you proud of the delete?
Yes. Well, and that's a relevant delete as well, right? Because, I mean, that disciple is 100% going to die. He's never going to get those cows back to base. So, better dead than in the hands of your enemy at this point.
Yeah, Blue certainly made the right call there. They are gone, absolutely. But China spawning in the north of the map after a lengthy discussion on the aesthetics of AoE 3, which we bring up quite frequently, or at least I do. And it's because it's true.
Things we like video. That's what we should do, right? That's what we should do. A things we like video.
Where
we talk about A's and Garja's maps and like the UI.
Zuter and Interjection compliment rather than complain. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we can just and then we, like that time of the stream comes up, we drag that video on, we press play. It says our boilerplate, like things we like, and then we can
and then we're good to
drag it off the screen, and we're good to go.
Absolutely, but I think there is actually a Zuter complains #3 in the. I think there's a clip that I can use for that. We'll see.
Oh, really? What is it this time?
I can't remember what it was. Actually, it was quite funny. Someone pointed it out in the section. I'll check it out afterwards. I'm not quite sure what it was.
So, it's the houses, the poorly placed.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I can't remember how ragey you got though. For those of you watching on YouTube and on Twitch, I guess so. Watch out for that one. It could be a funny clip from Zuter. For those of you who haven't seen it, there's just moments where Zuter complains about stuff, and it is just genuinely hilarious, or at least it was to me. So
it's pretty good.
So there's that. But what's been going on? We totally missed the early portion of the game. I think we covered the. I don't know what we do during that. We had 3 minutes to talk about this, but China doing normal things. 2 villages there is probably having already sent northern refugees. Yeah, there it is. Got the 3 villages, 2 from the villages, 1 from the old town center, 3 there. Looks like Iroquois somehow found the wood for a trading post. He hasn't clicked on up just yet. We'll take a look at text being researched. Nope, he's funded a trading post there, and you don't actually start with any wood ever as Iroquois anymore on this patch. So he absolutely chopped for that, or found treasures for.
Got some really good treasures. Actually. 90 wood and 50. Yeah. So really good treasures.
Absolutely can see why you'd collect that last bit of wood for it before aging up. Is going to delay his age up a little bit, but is he going up with the messenger? No, the wise woman.
Yeah, I don't know that Messenger is overly viable without the trading post early, because the whole reason why you do Messenger is because it got you aged up really quickly, and then you had like loads of shipments to spend, right? Because you had that trading post for the first 30 seconds on, basically, right? But at this point, you're not going to have that, and you're not going to have that wealth of XP. So I don't know that Messenger is ever explicitly viable, just as a result of that little change.
Yeah, actually, I never thought of it. Thought about it in that way. That's absolutely true. He's going to get a second trading post down during transition by the looks of it, and Yurashic is going to be laying down this old wall here, deleting the segments in between to make it cheaper. And he's got a nice little ring around his base here. Certainly means that the enemy units are going to find it a little bit tough to get the villagers on the hunts, because they're going to have to walk the long way around into his base. It's actually very well secured off, and these trees here provide the final bit of protection, and any units that do get close to the hunts, yes, it's not entirely closed off. You can just pop them in the town center. Very, very safe. I quite like this wall.
Yeah, it's such a smart wall. It protects his coin mine, protects that little batch of trees to the south side of his base, and even just like the summer palace in the village, like kind of completing the ring, like you mentioned, like everything, it just kind of completes the ring. Going to make it very, very difficult for any sort of pressure to be applied to him. But unfortunately for him, Mitoe had zero intention of being aggressive. And he's just been like building trading posts and booming away.
There's a farm going down there. Looks like he wants to be laying down his livestock on that, and there's no reason not to. Certainly, it's not quite as efficient as a livestock pen, but the farm does double up as a farm and as a mill and a livestock pen. So absolutely that. But yes, we all know what beats the turtle, and I guess you call this a turtle.
To some degree, yeah.
A turtle with a shell, I suppose. Yeah, there we go. Sort of a turtle. Anyway, he's fast fortressing. 700 coin has arrived. He's going to be collecting that up right now. He's collected nothing but food during transition, and of course we'll be using all that coin to get up to the 3rd age. We all know that China has a very, very specific agenda once they get up to the fortress age, and just poop out the units, as we have already seen in this series. But the wall seems not quite so useful, especially since there was no pressure. 3 trading posts out of Mitoe. We know that the boom beats the turtle. If we go to our very, very basic rock, paper, scissors triangle, which I never found actually that useful in Age of Empires 3. But yeah, it's no pressure, and that's the important thing. In fact, the livestock pen 3 trading posts, that wall probably won't be useful, especially since China's going to be pushing out of his base once those units arrive.
And one thing I also noticed that I wanted to point out quickly before we end up getting into some real action with the Third Age from the Chinese players, that the Chinese player only found one yak during all of this, and he ate it in transition to get up to the Third Age a little bit quicker. So he doesn't have any of those yaks, which are innately very, very good. And like you mentioned, the extra little farm boost here from Mitoe going to give him, somewhere to fatten those yaks up, and are going to provide a fairly meaningful bonus for him once he does get a little bit further progressed into the game. So I did want to just point that out because, this is a map where, if China can get 6-8 yaks or something like that in their control on those 2 villages, can really help.
Whoa, the ambush. The ambush. Oh, the crack shot! Oh, just before he dies.
I missed it. How many did he get?
Well, he did quite a little bit of damage. Didn't actually kill any of them. Does get the Explorer very low. Perhaps should be focusing that down. Get that 100 XP. The Chinese Papa Norka Mama Bobber does survive, but maybe those disciples were worth to
Yeah. Oh, good. I was gonna say he really needs to pop villagers in there and kill that, because if he can kill that under his TC, that's going to be really awkward for the Chinese player to reclaim at any point, especially when he was like 2 seconds away from aging, and that thing would have just popped right back up. So
yeah, do you think perhaps would have been better to go south, away from the town center?
I mean, he definitely shouldn't have taken that pathing with his Explorer, but he's just going to be able to walk in here and pick it back up anyways. But
raid a villager whilst he's at it, perhaps. Oh, the Travois! Is that what he was waiting for? Probably not, just by coincidence. Did he just slam that down by mistake?
No. There's something. There's something strange going on here, like an FI or something.
Ooh, we want. Wow, the crack shot. Jeez, that's just so much food gone.
That's
so monstrous. I don't know. It does really remind me of the campaign. Like, I know I said that last week, but it really does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but a plantation, it does give him 160 XP because it's an 800 wood building. It just gives you the most XP compared to any other building because you can build any building with the Travois regardless of the wood cost. I don't think he's going to be using the gold from it. It is an infinite source of gold, but a slow one and one he's not really going to want to use.
Wow, he just sent Agree in Ways. Like that's like a treaty card or a 3v3 random card.
I don't even know what it does. Let me take a look.
It allows you to get all of the upgrades from the plantation and the farm for really cheap, I believe.
Yeah, sets food cost 0, sets wood, and makes them free. Yes. Farm and plantation upgrades are now free.
Yes.
Strange, we're all here.
Yeah, I think I clicked on the deck and it...
Oh, and like froze it up a little bit. Yeah, that does happen. But yeah, that's a very strange, and so we do have to preface this by saying one thing, right? That the farm upgrades, and I think the mill upgrades as well, affect their natural resource equivalent. So the native civilizations don't have as many good upgrades from the market, but they do have the fact that their
He's getting them all right
their
now.
Plantation and farm upgrades do affect hunts and stuff like that, and I think we're going to see like a semi-FI out of this. Yeah, here comes like the extra resources.
Great feast. Wow, yeah, there's 1,200 resources, among others. All this time though, the blue player has just had three Quang Pikemen, 3 Chokanu from his summer palace. Here comes 3 Changdao and 3 Arquebusier. And all this time has just been sieging down these trading posts. The first one, at the very top of the map, has been gone for a while now. This second one, clearly quite low on hit points, is going to be losing that pretty swiftly. You could argue he's gotten enough XP out of them for them to be relevant, but I don't know if that's true. It feels janky and frustrating to lose them there. Perhaps he was hoping his opponent wouldn't go for that, but absolutely the right call from Yurashic just to be doing that with the units that are idle. Probably scouted his opponent and saw that there was he saw the plantation, didn't he? He absolutely saw that got slammed down, and he must have knew something was up. So he's what is he doing in response to having seen it?
This is so strange. Like I don't actually know what Mitoe's doing. Like, I thought he was going to be semi-FIing, but then he spent all of his resources. I guess he just sent Agree in Ways so that he could get all the upgrades and just have a really strong economy. He's just trying to boom. I mean, if you take a look at the shipments that he sent early in the game, he did send like 5 vil, 4 vil, so he's got pretty good villager counts behind this to utilize those. But I don't know if he's going to have enough military units out in time. Look at the military unit population; it's very skewed in Blue's favor, and you know, when that next big batch of units comes out, something like Intervention comes and a batch of Redcoat Musketeers from the Consulate, that number's going to expand even larger, and this could be a very difficult timing to hold. And behind all of this, I mean, Mito's starting to run out of natural resources. Now, he does have the plantation and the mill, but
undesirable.
I mean, it's still undesirable, even if they're like fully upgraded.
Yeah, absolutely doesn't want to be gathering from that. Even with all the upgrades, I still think hunts and mines are actually still slightly faster. I think hunts and mines remain faster until you get the capital upgrades or the equivalents, something like that. But China is waiting. What is China waiting for?
I think he should be ready now. Yeah, he just got his red coats, and he's got this very good build that he does with the 5 meteor hammers and the red coat timing.
Some musket riders. Doing some good damage, scaring him off there. Looks like he's going to walk back a bit and rekindle himself, get ready to actually push in. The military unit count, I believe, was like over 70 versus under just over 50. It is evened up a bit during that time, but I expect we'll see more units any moment now from a shipment or something like that from the blue player here.
Yeah, there it is, 10 archers here.
Yeah, and now that blue gap is even bigger. You see in the military unit count. So this is where he's going to be pushing out. He is going to have more military units just as a facet of his opponent spending time sending shipments that affect his economy, researching those upgrades.
I'm surprised that he's not going. Like he keeps like rearranging his army in the middle.
It's like he saw the plantation. He knows something's funky as up.
Yeah.
What is it like? If his opponent was fast industrialing, he ought to pressure him to because that would be very, very punishing. But he sees a lot of units. He knows it's not that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what he's waiting for, but maybe I guess it looks like Mito's going to push the issue here a little bit. The forest brawlers are stepping forward.
He does have a large army. Not gonna argue with that.
Yeah, and I guess I mean, eventually he's just gonna have to go. Maybe he's waiting for like iron troopers or something again.
Or maybe a big old batch of mercenaries. Anyway, the fight is slamming those cavalry in there. Gonna get this underway. Gonna try and get those forest prowlers, but I don't think they're really able to get to those very, very easily. And actually, the teal army's in a good spot.
Yeah, the monk is still tanking a lot of damage, but almost all of the cav dropped down pretty much uncontested there. The musket rider's in a good position, sitting right behind the forest brawler line, killing basically everything. Now, there are still a decent number of military units here from the blue army, but the biggest threat here has been neutralized, and I don't think Iro is going to be too disappointed with this fight whatsoever. He got a fairly decent trade. He still has most of his forest crawlers left alive, and behind this, his economy is really, really good. We have to keep that into consideration, that he played this really aggressive economic build, and as a result, his reinforcing lines are going to be very good behind all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Can see 4 axe riders, elite musket riders approaching, along with some it's not particularly many.
Yeah.
But there will be plenty.
And 4 iron flails coming out. I mean, that's not going to be probably nearly enough. I think he's just destined to die here. During all of this, I thought he had a pretty good timing there where Mitoe, was playing really greedy. And this is maybe twice where Mito's just kind of gotten away with this greedy build. Maybe knows the tendencies of Yurashic are to play a little bit more defensively with this China FF and just kind of wait for his opponent to come to him. And as a result, playing a very greedy economic build twice against Yurashic's China and getting wins out of it as a result. And I mean, we can see, stuff like this is going completely uncontested. That very large coin mine, which, like I mentioned, has been upgraded by the plantation upgrades, is gathering just an immense amount of coin at this point for the Chinese player. And
the wrong player.
Oh, yeah, for the Iroquois player, you're right. But China just kind of feels like dead in their base at this point. I mean, he's got a decent number of resources back here, but China at this point wants to be pushing out ahead in military unit population. and continuing to crush his way forward, and that's just simply not happening. And as a result of that, I think we're going to see maybe a slow but painful death here out of our Chinese friend.
Yeah, that's not what I was expecting from China. I thought, China has this massive FF, loads of units. I really thought that he would absolutely be able to match that of the Iroquois player and more. And especially since we saw a plantation and a mill and that slow shipment, and during that sort of earlier portion of the game, the Iroquois player really wouldn't have very many military units, and certainly he didn't. The blue player did have more. You might put that down to Chinese units having less population cost on them.
Oh, there they are! The Iron boys! The Iron troopers have arrived.
All right, so it's time to go. Pretty good against the skirmisher here. Pretty good against the dragoons here. Does have a few veteran cuirassiers mixed in and some other cavalry. Is this his saving grace? Potentially, but.
Yeah, I think there's enough cav. I mean, last time there was 0 hussars in the fight against the Iron Troopers. Now, fortunately, the Iron Troopers are standing in such a good spot. Like, there's no way any cavalry are ever going to get to where those Iron Troopers are. And this could be a pretty good fight for him, but at the same time, he wants to make sure he doesn't overextend here too much.
And he wants those units in the back in the fight here. The cavalry fighting alone. Even deletes the wall, he knows it. He just wants to get the units into the fight as soon as possible. The amount of time he's missed not fighting here. The amount of time those cavalry have been tanking, and, that's been completely wasted because the troops haven't been shooting in the back. The cavalry provide cover for these units to deal damage, and obviously they haven't been dealing damage. It's actually very big what he lost here, but some musketeers do pop out. Of course, the redcoats, they're very strong, and looks like still in a good spot despite that. Imagine how much better it would have been.
It could have been so much better. I mean, he fought with his cav out front for a full 8 seconds probably before the reinforcing infantry came behind there to actually do anything. I mean, he's still in an okay spot, but definitely, like you said, could have been in a much better spot. And now we can see the reinforcing big bashes of tomahawks. That looks like big button tomahawks.
It's a huge amount of tomahawks.
Yeah, he must have been big. Text complete.
Big army of burly shirtless men approaching.
Yeah, he sent the first 2 big button tomahawks, and
we can see that in text being text complete.
It's
going to get them, well, for the time being, still quite a lot of arquebusiers, these skirmish units quite good against them, but does have, enough forest prowlers really to match that. The cavalry do come in, but there are enough tomahawks really to match this. Iroquois, look at that, another giant, massive reinforcing batch of tomahawks, and this is where, the Chinese shipments are drying up, and, hasn't had a trading post all game, unlike in that first one. Sorry, unlike the Chinese player in that first one, different Chinese players. But, this is where the Iroquois economy is just gonna...
way too good. Although if you take a look at the actual raw economic unit population...
Yeah, it's even, isn't it?
It's not that big of a discrepancy, and those 2 Iron Troopers are still tanking so much damage. Like, they just don't die, ever.
My micro, very sad. Well, he's doubtful in his micro. Either way, though, we're mentioning the economy there. Despite that, though, almost killed another villager. It is quite even, but how much do those upgrades he got represent? Do you think?
Yeah, so much, like a ton. Manchus are here. Yeah, maybe
big power spike.
Yeah.
Mind you, though, it is against like musketeer and sort of skirmisher style units, which traditionally your dragoon unit isn't that efficient against. So despite this, they are quite, and the big old crack shot coming in as well. That was nicely played. I'm not actually sure how useful these are going to be, especially with more reinforcing forest prowlers. Having said that, though, they are still Manchu and they are still mercenaries. They are strong.
Yeah, but on top of all this, Mitoe is starting to to Samwise his opponent a little bit, where every fight you're taking, it seems like there's always 2 calves standing on top of your next hunt.
Yeah.
And that's going to be really
He's built a monastery. I did not notice.
Yeah. He's got a couple of Jaegers as well.
Repentant Jaegers, I might add. They are very sorrowful. They are repentant.
They're sorry for the sins they're about to commit.
They're also sorry that those 3 cav are standing there.
Yeah, it's going to make it very difficult. Look at them. They're just going to... Those 3 cavalry are going to kill those Jaegers. That's very sad, because those Jaegers are quite expensive.
Yeah, they are quite expensive. They're well worth though. 180 gold. Well, not worth when they die to cav like that. Yeah. Even pulling off a few extra cav to go and fight them there. Sadly, is going to lose those. But they have very cool hats, and it's very festive. It's very appropriate.
Yeah, it's very. If only it was playing the color red, right? It would be like perfect.
I think I mentioned it this time last year. The nostalgia coming in strong. I was thinking, I'm mentioning I want to do top 10 style videos, top 10 hats in Age of Empires 3. Certainly Roger and the Jaeger coming in strong.
Roger and the Jaeger are definitely the top 2 candidates for top hats in Age of Empires.
Gotta find 8 more hats in AoE 3.
Yeah. Who else has a good hat?
I'm fairly sure I'll find one in. Oh, the Chinese guy. These villagers. Look at that.
Yeah, that's an okay hat. The Ashigaru, like the upgraded Ashigaru's got a hat similar to that.
Oh, the upgraded Tartar archers. They have leopard print on and everything. Yeah, and they have a giant feather on their head. And they're wearing leopard print. You can't argue with that.
That's probably a strong candidate for top 10 hats in Age of Empires 3.
Yeah. Oh, let's take a look at that Discipline Meteor Hammer. It's an okay hat.
Where's he at? I can't even see one.
He's down here. Yeah.
He's hiding. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's okay. It's like
it's not.
It's more.
Best
It's more a hood than a hat.
Yeah. Well, the Iron Flail, his brother there doesn't have it. Anyway, we do have Mitoe approaching fast with his.
Look at the Doppelstunder's hat. In Mitoe's avatar. That's a pretty good one.
Oh yeah.
It's like a big poofy hat.
That is a Grethel hat, isn't it? Yeah.
Great.
Well, that was an interesting end.
Yeah, I'm curious as to why he didn't push out like he did in the first game. If we go back to the Siberia game where he played China as well, and he had that strong timing, and I really like his build. I think his build is really good. And it's the standard FF build, but then he ships 5 Meteor Hammers, and then has this timing where Intervention comes as a second card combined with the 400 export lining up to just get enough to get like that big surge of musketeers, and then he pushed out, and that's what he did in the first game, and it was really, really strong. But this time he waited. He didn't push then, and I feel like if he would have pushed then, he would have had a lot of success just like he did in the first game. Instead, ended up waiting for a little bit, I think too long, and the hero player with his greedy economic build. I mean, if you take a look at the military unit population, they didn't fight until 13 minutes into the game. And there was a timing, like around 10-ish minutes, right? That's probably, you see that big spike at like 10, 20. That's when those big batches of musketeers, I would assume, are starting to come out. And I feel like that's a time that he could have really pushed. It would have had like a 30-second to a minute timing window there where he was fairly well in the lead, and he just didn't make advantage of that like he did in the first game, I feel like.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, though, all resources gathered, Mitoe Yurashic is the Chinese players ahead in terms of economy, which I find strange.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sold on Mitoe's build with that agreeing ways and.
I was expecting it to be higher. Maybe his micro wasn't so bad after all.
He snuck out with a win. A win's a win. Anyway you slice it.
I like cake.
Someone's saying Saturday hat down. They miss the camaraderie.
They do. Absolutely. All of that in the VODs. Very sad that you guys are missing that. Obviously, you have no idea what I'm talking about because... well, maybe you do. Maybe I edited it all in. We'll see. But game number 4?
Is this game number 4? Yeah, it must be game number 4.
Oh, yeah, I can actually, now that we mentioned that it's game number 4 at the start of the game, I can actually set the scores. Currently...
2-1 for Mitoe.
2. I have to uncheck the 0 box, and then... Oh, God, how do I make this work? Oh, 2. Ah, yes. And 2 is 2-1, isn't it?
Yep, 2-1.
Come on. I can do this. 2-1.
I believe.
There we go. Got the score down. I'm not quite sure what's going on with this water. It looks very...
I've got the...
That's one hell of a tide.
Sure.
I'm not quite sure what happened there. Anyway, we do have spawning in the north of the map in the colour blue. Yurashic, playing as China, has not won a game with China yet. So get to see some more China out of Yurashic. Certainly a civ he's very competent with. I'll just see if he can make it work this time. Mitoe in the south of the map there, doing work with his funky build orders, living up to Yurashic, which is certainly a force to be reckoned with. Yurashic's China. Yep.
Yeah, his China has always like historically been good.
Yep. GG.
We'll see.
GG. Ah,
what's
yeah, stray
what
llama.
did he get?
It's not a cow.
Oh, he got the llama.
Yeah, no,
it's not a cow.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not a cow. The game goes on.
The game goes on. It's not a cow. I thought it was a cow. Yeah. Yeah. I must admit, if that was a cow, he would just lock down the win.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Mitoe, I think Mitoe has forgotten that all the llamas spawn on the left side of this map. Look at this explorer just strolling through, and the wave of llamas just going back to his base. Meanwhile, Mitoe's like over here in like La La Land, just.
It's like, oh, resources and useless
trees.
Well, he certainly found. Oh no.
Another stray llama.
It's not even a cow treasure. Like, I was in 36 Drew's video that I was watching earlier that I mentioned not during the recording. He was like, two cow, like a cow guarded by 2 outlaws and a polar bear is just completely pointless. Even of course it was. It's always been pointless. I don't know why it managed to stay in the game that long. 2 llamas. That's even worse. They're not even cow hacks. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, he's just walked his Chinese explorer through the left-hand side of the map, finding all of these llamas. Did you watch Game of Thrones?
I've watched some of it.
Because there's this one scene where ding, shame, ding, shame, ding, shame, and everyone who watches should know that. And I imagine it was very similar, walking down this passage, hearing lots of dings as he converted the llamas. Yes, I don't know. It just reminded me of that. But what are we seeing here? What are we seeing from the players?
Pretty standard stuff so far. It is worth mentioning that this is a non-TP map, which is kind of surprising that Mitoe took Germany, like opted into Germany on this map as a result of that. And Germany always historically very good with trading post, and not bad without a trading post, but one notch below their strongest, most powerful self. And certainly Chinese, not necessarily a civ that really requires a trading post. We've seen Yurashic go builds with trading posts, without trading posts. They can kind of go either way. They can make use of them when they're available, but definitely not going to hurt him as much as the German civilization not having that trading post. And going to be setting up for another fortress-based play. I mean, that's kind of the meta game in Age of Empires 3 right now, right? Is this very fortress-oriented play, I would say. And we'll have to see how that ends up panning out for Mitoe not having that trading post. It's going to make his spam a little bit slower, and as a result, maybe cut down the power level of his civ in the Third Age.
Yeah, absolutely. Germany really do enjoy having that trading post. The extra shipment progression it grants is really, really good. Traditionally, though, Germany never actually was a trading post civ. They never really went for one.
Yeah, it's kind of a new thing, right? Where in robot patch like 1.02, whatever the first robot patch was, where they randomly decided that they were going to make trading posts cost 200 wood instead of 250. That's when people really started realizing how good trading posts could be, especially when you got them very early in the game and you were able to get extra resources out of them. And so as a result of that, Germany kind of coming back into favor. But like you mentioned, I mean, historically, people have always just done exactly what Mitoe is doing, right? Where you get the very early market, you get a nice early hunting dogs, and just boost your economy in that way. And so we'll see. I mean, certainly Germany can still play that way, but I think 10 times out of 10, if given the option, they would prefer to have the trading post over the extra early hunting dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. Could still slam down a Inca settlement. You never know. It is my
yeah, that is a socket that you can build a trading post on. I will give you that.
Yeah, remember we can hold Alt and see the wonderful bonuses that he would absolutely get if he were to do that. Look at that. Inca something messenger. Things train 10% more quickly.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. It's really fast for infantry. It's like 25%.
25%. Yeah, but not for that cost or this early on. Absolutely not. He's not going to be slamming down
Can you imagine?
She starts researching
throwing 700 resources into making your units train 25%.
6 minutes into the game.
Yeah, 6 minutes into the game.
Setting up for the long game. Yeah, no problem. Absolutely. Yeah, but both players doing very, very standard things here. I hate to say the word standard, but it's as far as not having a trading post for Germany and not being able to get one as China during transition. And we see, if we switch on over to text being researched, that both players are actually already up to the next stage. Never mind. Of course, we spent ages talking about... yes. Anyway, very normal things. China has, of course, sent northern refugees. Its next shipment is quite likely to be 700 coin, and I'm sure we'll see that at any moment now. Yurashic picking up 135 wood, and actually Mitoe was working on that treasure for most of the game. They're crack-shotting the occasional unit there. Coming in, getting a little bit of damage, but neither of those units are really damaged at all, so is not going to be doing anything. I think he was coming back for that wood. Anyway, 2 cavalry coming in, perhaps they will be able to catch. Maybe he was trying to lure them back, you know. If they see the opponent's explorer low, he might go back and try and get it. But with these 2 Ulans approaching, that could have been some next level move that could have worked out quite nicely. But 2 Ulans, we'll see if they can get any raiding done. But 700 coin, yeah, it's already been sent and collected up during that short little spell of whatever it was we were just looking at. 5 cavalry do join the fray, and it looks like they're going to be able to cook. Ooh, the critical strikes coming out. Not too bad. Does clean those 2 monks up. Nice batch of XP for him, and of course now the opponent no longer has that very, very tanky monk. Is going to bell up these vills here, and this is actually the opposite of what Mitoe's been doing normally. You know, normally building a massive eco, or what we thought was a massive eco, with these strange cards like in the previous game, and with Dutch in the one before that.
Yeah, this looks so much more standard, right? Like Cav semi-FF, like what is he doing? He's doing something normal.
Yeah, bringing out Cav to raid the villages is normal.
Yep. He'd almost like taken a page out of Aze's book earlier on, right? Like just doing these like kind of strange.
They do play a lot.
One-off strategies. Yeah, maybe he had picked up a couple tips and tricks from Aze, but this looking much more Mitoe standard. Just doing a Cav semi-FF, 3 settler wagons, 2 settler wagons.
That's one hell of a... You don't normally always send the 2 settler wagon shipment, you know, the second one.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Oftentimes you do see, you know, just straight 700.
Maybe compensating for the lack of trading post and realizing that it's not going to be as aggressive as quickly or as powerful. You know, that power supply is not going to be as strong, and perhaps playing a slightly modified version.
Yeah, I mean, we can see he's still FFing, right? Take a look at the resource count. 1,000 food, almost 1,000 coin. He's going to very soon have the required resources to age up. Definitely still going to be doing that. A little bit of a fight. You're going to be able to pick off most of the coin pikemen and clean up the summer palace units.
Bringing those pikemen down very quickly before they can really do anything. Just DPSing them down before they do anything at all. Even forcing him here to bring out the sentries. So going to feel pretty good about that. Now he can finally get his villagers back to work. And of course that's the whole point of this. You know, what he's trying to do here with his semi-FF. Got out these massive villager shipments. You know, 3 settler wagons. Possibly the best colonial age shipment in the game. Followed by 2 settler wagons. And already 2 settler wagons. German economy is monstrous. And during this time, whilst that economy is getting going and collecting all of the resources for his age up, gets these cav out and is forcing the blue villagers to be all belled up. Because China is not making military units during transition. He's actually going to try and get up much quicker just by sending the gold straight up for the age up. And you can see that, you know, he did age up significantly faster. Is that true though? I guess Mitoe does use the exiled prince, so that, you know, that is a fast aging politician. So it looks like they got up at similar times, but actually the bonus that Yurashic gets in the form of the old what's it called, porcelain tower is significantly better than just aging up quickly. Though you know, he does have Mitoe has invested in the economy and due to the villager shipments there, and probably has a shipment ready, which is he might have in queue. I'm not sure. I didn't notice.
Probably should have something.
Either way, that's what's been going on so far, and now both players up to the fortress age. Yep.
Yeah, and one other thing that is worth noting is during all of that time, Mitoe kept a lot of cav alive. If you take a look at his cav count here, he still has like 6 cav out, right? Which, I mean, if you take, I think he made like 5, and then he has the 2 shipments, so he had 9, and to still have 6 of those 9 alive, that's actually somewhat influential in the game, just due to the fact, you know, that he was running underneath the town center quite a bit. He forced, he fought straight on. He fought pikemen. He forced sentries to be called. He took a lot of town center shots, and to only have lost 3 cav during all that, that's actually pretty good for him. So he's still going to be able to have those. He's still going to be able to reinforce those with the upgrade from the stable as well. So I really like his position here. He's in a pretty good spot. And I mean, we always talk about, you know, the 10 to 11 minute German power spike, and it's going to be really strong here. We'll see how it ends up playing up against Yurashic. Looks like he's doing, you know, step by step, the exact same build that he's done in the previous games with the 5 meteor hammers. He's got the consulate up. Going to ally with the British, almost certainly with that, and I think we'll see the intervention and a push again is his next 2 steps with this build.
Yeah, British consulate has just arrived, and I think exactly what you're saying is about to happen. Of course, those musketeers that you get somewhere in between guard and veteran, but very, very strong. Germany, though, a force to be reckoned with, even without a trading post here. And the longer this game goes, perhaps this is better. More villages, though I'm sure he would prefer that trading post. But
yeah, you definitely would. you would definitely prefer to have that. Especially, I mean, when you talk about the the big 4-headed monster that Germany has with the 9 Uhlans, the 8 Uhlans, the 8 skirm plus 3 Uhlans, and the 7 skirm plus 3 Uhlans. That progression is just going to be slowed down that much more by not having that trading post, because your first shipment or 2 aren't really affected that much. They're maybe a little bit slower, but they still come out around the same time. But it's going to be those, 3rd, 4th, 5th shipments that continue to reinforce in the 3rd age that not having that trade post is going to affect. And we'll have to see, especially, if we have one big fight here that goes in China's favor, and Germany doesn't have the trading post to necessarily reinforce his units, could end up being a bit of an ugly situation for Germany.
Ooh, and losing 2 cav there that were sitting around idle. Nice to have them on standby, though, to run in there and do some raiding. But sadly, did lose those 2 cav there. Teching in some WW, some war wagons coming out there. H2O not a big fan of this unit, but Mitoe bringing out some war wagons anyway. And this might be an interesting response to the sheer amount of cavalry that Yurashic tends to make as China. He tends to get a hold of very quickly. So war wagons by no means that good, especially when compared to dragoons, which I believe have a ranged resist, which is significantly better than a melee resist, and they move quicker and you can kite with them. Am I right? I think they have a range.
Yeah, but against this number of meteor,
they're gonna be good. Yeah.
They're gonna be good. I mean, and realistically, against this amount of cav, no matter how poor your anti-cav option is, you can't just not make anti-cav against someone who's making pure cav, right? I mean, we like to complain about war wagons and say, they're maybe not as good as European dragoons in general, but against someone who's there's very few skirmishers here, aside from the 10 arquebusiers that have just been sent. There was really no explicit anti-dragoon type unit, and we're going to see this big cav mass coming in here. He's going to have some sort of way to deal with it.
More war wagons coming out there. Looks like he's got quite the number of them, and you can't ignore how big these things are. 500 hit points each and 42 range attack times 3. Absolutely huge. The cavalry, though, the German cavalry, that is melting away very quickly. They have basically no hit points, and now it's just a large mass of cav versus an exposed body of skirmishers. No cavalry to body block them, and certainly war wagons. He's actually not doing too bad with the body blocking there, but I don't know. I don't like
still
it
the
when
meteor
my cap is up close and personal with my.
Yeah, and the meteor hammers still they can shoot over everything, right?
That's true.
They're so good at doing
he just
that.
Absolutely dumpstered him. That was.
Yeah. And this is the point now where we were mentioning, right? Normally, Germany having the trading post would, their second, they would have more and more shipments. They'd be able to continue to fuel this fight. But we can see another shipment has come, but he's still waiting on another shipment behind this. Normally, that second shipment, right now, would already be sending. He would have more stuff coming, but that's not the case right here. And he's just going to get run over by this mass here, and low resource map in general. I think he's going to have to resign here pretty quick. He just doesn't have the military units. Couple dops sneaking in the back, but they're going to be easily focused down by the remaining infantry units and not really provide any sort of a threat.
At least we get to see their hats.
Yes.
Not for long. It's actually quite similar to the envoy hat.
Yeah, there it is.
The end of the game. GG coming in, apparently.
Just can't kite it. And maybe he's disappointed with his micro, but Yurashic hit that good timing once again, right? And I think he caught Mitoe a little bit out it just caught him out off guard a little bit, right? I mean, Mito's still shipping 8 skirm, 7 skirm, and Yurashic, I mean, we've watched him play China 3 times so far today, and he's done the exact same build almost every single time. Well, he has done the exact same build every single time. 5 Meteor Hammers, Intervention, 10 Arquebusiers, and he pushes right when all of that, all of those muskets from the console line up, and it makes for a very, very strong timing. If I were actually looking to play China and ladder, I'm a big fan of this build, to be perfectly fair. Yeah. Normally I opened with either sending 10 Arquebusiers or 11 Chengdao, but or even just Intervention straight up. But I really do like the Meteor Hammers. They're shining through quite nicely in these games.
Yep, perhaps a metagame call from Yurashic. It's perhaps an innovation from Yurashic, but certainly effective, whatever it is. And that is the end of game number 4, bringing the score back up to 2-2. Shaping up to be a good series at this point. And I'll see you all again in just a second. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to game number 5 in this best of 7 series between Yurashic and Mitoe. Yurashic now playing a different civ. PogChamps in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Not China, on Painted Desert. Also a map, no Arizona. This is not
Arizona.
Painted Desert. It uses the same tile set. But unlike Painted Desert, it does have trading posts. So Germany, a very reasonable pick on this map. And up against India, which on this map, interestingly enough, despite it being similar to Painted Desert, is not quite as good as compared to Painted Desert, which has lots of cows roaming all around the place. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess I never thought about that, right? This map doesn't have any livestock, which actually makes it significantly worse for India compared to Painted Desert.
Yeah, absolutely true. That extra XP from the cows, not a thing here, but there is a giant blob of thing in the middle, which is a really cool... Gaia makes cool maps, I think. And this does kind of favour India, I suppose, in the sense that it's a less open map, and aggro-forts tend to be very big, and you can throw them down somewhere and block off a large portion of the map. And slamming down an aggro-fort on either side of your town, sort of here or... you know, sort of here-ish. It does, I suppose, block up a large region of space. And
at the very least, it allows you to like have a really good idea of where your opponent's coming from, right? Because like you can cheat to that side a little bit. You can put your aggro fort on one side or the other of that big massive rock. I'll turn off the camera quick so you can take a look at that rock. And it at least allows you to see which side they're coming from, and then cheat your villagers to that side as well. So. Yeah, it is worth calling out, but at the same time, it's not quite as choky as something like New England, for example, which I think is much better as well. So, but a little bit more choky than say Great Plains or something like that, which is just wide open, so much space.
Yeah, wide open spaces. Kind of makes
so much room for activities.
Great Plains. So much room for activities.
There's so much room for activities in Great Plains.
Like marathoning with a hat on and some funky trousers and being named Roger.
Good old Roger.
Yeah. So what do we have here in the north of the map? India, being played by Mitoe.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of India recently on Saturday Smackdown. In fact, I'm trying to remember back to the last game on Saturday Smackdown where we did see some India playing. I can't actually recall it. So.
Did we play Mongolia? Yeah, we played Mongolia.
Yeah. I mean, we used to have Mongolia in like the standard like rotation of maps, right? But ever since we've switched over to 2.6, we haven't been playing on Mongolia, and as a result, haven't seen as much India. I mean, there's a point where when we were playing on Mongolia, like as our third map every single time, we saw India like basically every single weekend. But we haven't seen India as a result of those in quite some time. And it looks like here you go. Here's your villager going down to put down that aggro fort, like you mentioned, on one side. Perhaps going to be pushing it down on this left side of the map.
Oh, maybe it'll even be down here. I doubt it.
Where is he actually going with that villager?
Yeah, well, he doesn't quite have the food for it yet, so it's not like he's going to be able to slam that down. He's not going to be able to place the foundation, so maybe he's just going to walk up to a tree and start chopping it and just be in position. It's not like it's Japan, right, where you cost 600 and something food for the age up because of the Portuguese consulate. But we'll see where he's. It does actually look quite far forward. Could be aggressive here. Could be quite interesting. That's absolutely true. But let's switch over to shipments sent and see what the players have sent. Clearly, the wood trickle for India. Absolutely very normal things, no villager shipments. And that's going to provide him basically a villager shipment and villagers Coltswood for India, as we know. Germany sends the 2 settler wagons. Very, very jelly of that shipment if you're most civilizations.
Oh, wow, look at this.
Oh.
What was that? Why did that... He sent like a villager to each side.
Huh. Maybe... That's curious.
I'm not sure.
Perhaps it was to give him the flexibility of dropping down
Picking
an aggro fort. But it does feel like a waste of food because they're walking all this way. Well, maybe he's going to proxy Iraq's over here or something.
The old 2-prong attack. I'm not sure. Either way, I think we are going to see something fairly aggressive. I think we're going to see like the economic 12 Sepoy rush. And what I mean by that is I think we'll see 5 Sepoy sent as his first card and built 5 from the aggro fort plus the 2 that come for free. It's like that 12 that you can get. And those first 12 Sepoys can do a lot of damage early in the game. And I think we'll see that kind of pressure. I don't think you would put your aggro fort this far forward if you weren't intending on doing something fairly aggressive. Like we were mentioning, I think you put it back a little bit closer to home and just try and defend the raids a little bit more effectively. Should you not be playing aggressive. But I think we're going to see a fairly aggressive play here out of Mitoe, and we'll see how that ends up shaking out. Of course, Germany likely to start Cavan, likely to have a fortress-based agenda online. We can already see coin being gathered, so perhaps could end up disrupting his opponent quite nicely with those early musketeer-type units and maybe shut down the Cav a little bit.
And blocking off this side of the map with a wall going up. Interesting, curious wall, especially if he's playing aggressively. I guess it is going to limit the number of resources that his opponent is going to have access to at some super late point in the game. But right now, this is expensive, and it's going to limit perhaps the amount of other resources that he can gather, and perhaps limit the amount of Sepoys that he's going to open with. I'll be curious to see what his first shipment is now at this point, whether he's going to actually be aggressive, or has something else in mind.
I mean, we can see his military or his population has gone up, so I have to assume it's been 5 Sepoy at this point. It's a straight up full wall over there on the left side of Arizona, though. That thing is all the way.
Well, what does that tell us? Oh, that villager. Obviously, he saw the wall with his explorer, did the blue player here, and he knows that there's probably a villager trying to... Or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's just awkwardly pathing into the opponent's base, and he's like, why am I Cav going this really strange route?
They're going really far on the other side.
Could have picked up that Vil there, but it looks like he's going back for it. No, he's not. Yeah. He's just pathing awkwardly around something else.
But here do come those 5 Sepoy. He did send 5 Sepoy as his first card. Yep. But similarly, it looks like Yurashic was ready for it, right? He opened racks instead, has a couple crossbows here ready and waiting, which is going to make for a slightly less awkward situation than had he just, run his head straight into Cav or something like that.
Does pick up a Villa back home as well, but those 2 Sepoy from are going to be able to deal with those 2 Cav there. It looks like the blue units have been, or no, teal units still doing work, while getting cleaned up by the Minutemen.
Yeah, and with this reinforcing batch of crossbows, should be able to kill both those explorers and push back. Unfortunately for him, his coin did pop out on the right side. It looks like that spawned right around the same time as when he was calling his Minutemen, so delaying his coin gathering a little bit. But he's lost 2 villagers back at home. This pressure hasn't been overly effective. Germany hasn't been slowed down that much. And take a look at the economic unit population. Yurashic still perfectly fine, 28 eco-pop versus 22. Mitoe has spent a lot of time, just like this wall, like building this wall is very costly in terms of villager seconds, right? That villager was not gathering for a very long amount of time, and now it feels like Mitoe is just kind of in a little bit of a hole here, and Germany's going to be able to get aged up. Take a look at his resources, has perfect amount of resources to age just now, and has the barracks ready, has the 700 wood, going to be able to build a stable, and I like his position. He seems to be in a pretty good spot.
Yep, age up definitely in queue. The Exile Prince excellently defended against the incoming pressure there. Not sure how useful his wall was, but maybe that just stopped the Sepoy from retreating quite as easily. Managed to pick up a few on the way out. Mitoe was not particularly happy with his control. He did mention that in the chat. And his initial push, his 5 set boy and the 5 that he trained, not really leading to much avail. Germany going to get up on time, and he's, I guess, spent a few resources extra on crossbowmen, but aside from that, he's had that trading post working for him, all this time, and is essentially where he wants to be at this point in the game.
Yeah, the next thing that Mitoe can really do here is control these coin mines. It's no secret that Germany runs through coin mines like crazy, just in general in the game. And if you take a look at this game, this is a map that doesn't have the standard 2 coin mines in base that Garja so often has on his maps. The second coin mines are a little bit more extended out here to the right and left side of his base. So if Mitoe can continue this pressure, continue to apply at least some vision on these coin mines and be wary of when his opponent is moving out to try and secure one of those, he could have a situation where he could deny the coin mines and be in a situation where Germany kind of still just starves himself. And that's going to happen very soon. Look at the remaining coin in his copper mine. 300 coin left, and then he is going to have to secure one of those coin mines.
Yeah, that's running out thick and fast, especially because it's a copper mine. Only starting with 1,000, not really very much at all. Is these all copper mines?
Yeah.
They are. This map is... the coin mines are very... There's not that much coin on... There's really not that much coin on this map.
Well, copper mines are...
Oh, I thought they were... They're still... Yeah,
it's
tin mines that I don't have... Actually, there's quite a normal amount of coin on this map. I even know that because I make scenarios all the time in the editor.
Yeah. Wait, it's a bit strange. I wonder who decided at ES. Like, no, tin mines are only going to have 1,000 coin.
Yeah, they're actually quite confusing because they actually look very much like gold mines, which have 4,000 gold in them. But Germany comes out with some war wagons here. Does manage to save his TP, and obviously skirmishes and crossbows entering the fray. And it looks like that was absolutely the right decision here. German units now on the run. The Indian units now on the run.
Yep.
And reinforcing units absolutely to come.
Yeah, and he looks to be in a good spot here as well. The skirms definitely have the extra range. The 3 Gardner Hussars are going to come in, but there is enough anti-cav here. These 4 war wagons should be enough to deal with these cavalry units fairly well. More reinforcing skirmishers, a couple more war wagons coming in as well, and he looks to be just fine.
Perhaps he was a little bit premature with the entering the fight with those cav there. He only had a few units really left in that fight. And it's not like the cav had to commit to that. They weren't already in the fight. They could have stayed away. And it looks like Mitoe identifying that as well. He had these, this batch of 5 Sepwa and this shipment of, wait, was it? Well, he got some Zambreks and some skirmishes. They were basically there. And had he waited just a moment longer, they would have been in the fight as well. And it could have ended all at the same time with these units, and perhaps been more effective. But actually, here his units getting, killed in drips and drabs, and not really being able to do any meaningful damage. And doesn't have right now the presence to protect the stable. What's the funky Indian name for this building? I can't remember what they called it. It's
the Caravana Sar here, or something like that.
Yeah, that now goes down. And onwards to the Agra Fort. Does pop out 5 Sepway shipments as well. No, he just trained from the barracks as well. Okay. So I see. Yep. Anyway, 10 Sepway at once, plus the 4 Sours entering the fray. He does manage to scramble some units together to fight here, and really does have to. Otherwise, the Agra Fort is going to be taken away from him. But the amount of blue units that Germany has mustered.
I mean, it's and in Germany, I mean, he still has that trading post, right? He was able to save it. He's still remaining at 1,000 hit points, and that's very big at this point in the game because having that up means his reinforcing batches of 8 skirm, 7 skirm, I mean 9 Ulan even. Hell, at some point it's going to come out here and be a factor in this game. Is quite problematic, and India is starting to run a little bit out of steam. I mean, we mentioned how he would want to be out here to, making sure that this coin mining wasn't happening, and that's absolutely not the case. Germany 100% got out on that coin mine uncontested, and as we can see, just getting a really scary army off the back of that as a result.
Oh, Mitoe feels bad, man, in the chat.
Yeah, 7 skirms coming here as well, and I don't know. It's maybe he can get one more batch of cav out or something like that and try and push. But look at the military unit population at this point. It's 68 to 27. Ecos are about equal, but this is Germany's time to shine. Mid to early fortress. He has got a very scary army put together here, and I don't know what Mitoe does to try and recover. You can see he's desperately trying to throw up some infrastructure back at home.
5 more war wagons.
Yeah.
5.
Yeah, I mean his eco is pretty good, right? He didn't really explicitly lose anything from the early game. He held the pressure really convincingly.
Yeah.
And
5 cav are coming out of that. The Salwars, but is it going to be enough against the war wagons? I really don't think so. He's going to lose the caravanserai, the stable, and I don't know what you do against this. There's not really much you can do. You just wait. I mean,
at this point, you're pretty much dead. I mean, Germany has hit that critical mass that you're not killing this mass of war wagons and skirms with your Age 2 Indian army at this point.
No.
Especially now when you have 9 Uhlans coming in.
Yeah.
He still has 8 Uhlans as well, right? If they ever fight, he's just gonna get more XP and he's just gonna slam out that next shipment even that much quicker, and it's just gonna continue his downfall. But at the same time, he's just bleeding so much. Your consulate's going down. He's going to lose like another Rags. He's got 2 stables up. He's desperately trying to reinforce here, but well, and he has a lot of resources, so maybe he can get a big batch of cav out. But Germany's army is just swelling here. It's just getting bigger and bigger with every passing second.
Well,
here he goes. Here he goes. He's going to try his best. But
look at this cav getting in position. And the Sours are gone. And the skirms are gone.
Does have Minutemen. He's doing an okay job of dealing with the Uhlans in the back. The Minutemen did come out in a decent spot, at least soaking up some of the damage, but it's not going to be enough. I think we're going to see a huge pop from the Caravanserai coming out here pretty quick, but it's just the timing wasn't quite right. I mean, we just saw him sink with about 1,400 resources into something I would assume stable units, yeah. But it looks like it's just not going to be quite enough. The German army's still holding strong, although it went about as good as I think India could have really hoped. I mean, he didn't get any further behind, right? He was already doubled in military population, and at the end of that, he killed a bunch of stuff, and he's still down double, but it didn't get any worse. But I mean, he still just doesn't have any way to formulate a response against all these war wagons and skirms. And there it is, GG.
GG.